What is up? Good morning. Welcome to my car. I don't know why my hands are still on the wheel. We are parked, we are stationary, but we just got to the grocery store. I'm going to be stocking up on everything I need to feel good in my body for week 1 of the Made to Move It challenge, which, as a reminder, if you haven't signed up yet, what are you even doing? Okay, it's a 100% free challenge. As part of it, you're gonna be getting weekly workout calendars, daily workout videos, recipe roundups, and cooking videos, little daily emails from me checking in with you. Okay, it's gonna be great. It's gonna give you everything you need to make movement a habit that lasts. So I'll be linking that down below, but I figured for today's video, I would take you through what I am buying in terms of groceries, what I'm stocking up on, how I am prepping my food, what I'm prepping for the week ahead, as well as the science behind the little tweaks I'm gonna be making to my diet, which I shouldn't say that they're little. There's actually some very major adjustments that I'm going to be trying out to help reduce my bloating, which I am nervous about, but I'm sharing it all. I'm sharing it all with you. So if you're excited for today's video, make sure to shoot me a thumbs up and let's get into it. A melon. We will come back to this, but I feel like we have so much to unpack. Last video I shared that I've been struggling with bloating for the past couple months, suspiciously around the time that I switched birth control, but I am not jumping to conclusions. I'm not just gonna automatically blame it on that, because I know I have room for improvement with listening to my hunger cues, listening to my body, just being more aware overall of how different foods are affecting me. Plus, while the research is still somewhat limited on gut health, with each new study that comes out, it just furthers that everything is connected, from what you eat to when you eat to how you're sleeping to if you're stressed. Like, it's all connected, which can also feel overwhelming. So I am starting with the simplest step and focusing on what I eat. The easiest way to change your outcomes is by changing your habits, and the easiest way to change your habits is by working with your existing routine. Whether you realize it or not, we all have routines around the way we eat. If you're used to having certain meals or certain snacks at certain times of day, work with that. Habits are like the highways in your brain. Trying to build a new habit from scratch is like going off-road, whereas working with an existing habit is like just getting off at a different exit, much easier. So the key change I'm making for this challenge is I'm trying a low Fodmap diet. I hate saying the word diet because I feel like it's immediately associated with weight loss, which is not my goal. In reality, the term diet just describes what you eat. It does not describe how much you eat, it does not describe your reasons for eating that. And so going on a diet or making changes to your diet are not things that are reserved just for weight loss. You can change the way you eat to feel better, to feel more energetic, to improve your digestion, to reduce bloating, to do whatever you want, because it's your body. So what is a low Fodmap diet? Fodmap stands for fermentable oligo monosaccharides and polyols. These are carbs that are hard to digest. Instead of being absorbed directly into your bloodstream, they instead reach the far end of your intestine where many of your gut bacteria live. Your gut bacteria then consume these carbohydrates for fuel, producing hydrogen gas as a byproduct and causing digestive disruption in some people. A common strategy for identifying food sensitivities and intolerances is something called an elimination diet, which involves removing foods that you suspect may be causing issues from your diet, then adding them back in one at a time to see which present symptoms versus which don't. It is a process of elimination for figuring out which foods are to blame, and so you can adapt your diet moving forward to avoid discomfort. There are many different types of elimination diets, with low Fodmap being one of them. So why am I trying it? The low Fodmap diet is typically recommended for those with IBS, which, while I have never been formally diagnosed, there also is no definitive test for IBS. Oftentimes your doctor will look at your medical history, do a physical exam, try to rule out anything else that might be going on, like a gluten intolerance, and then if you meet a certain set of criteria and you experience those symptoms over an extended period of time, you will be considered to have IBS. Considering how common this is, especially among women, and looking at my symptoms as well as the other lifestyle factors that line up, I figure it's not a bad place to start. Plus, as compared to other elimination diets, I found it to be significantly less restrictive. To be clear, the goal of an elimination diet is not long-term restriction. I really want to hammer this point, okay? Because diet, I feel like, is a term that is often misinterpreted, and elimination kind of sounds like restriction, and that is not something I want to promote. Elimination diets are a controlled experiment. They're not a long-term thing. They're not a lifestyle. They're not permanent. They are a choice that you make to try to gain information about your body. They are about helping you improve the way you feel about what you eat, not feel worse about the way that you eat. If you have no digestive issues, there's probably no reason for you to try an elimination diet. Whereas if you do have digestive issues and they are decreasing or at least affecting your quality of life, you might gain some helpful information. So my game plan is to eliminate high FODMAP foods for 2 to 3 weeks. I'm gonna reevaluate at 2 weeks. If I feel like I need another week to just let things run their course, you know, do their thing, I'll take that additional week. And then following that, I'm gonna be adding back in those high FODMAP foods one at a time in 2 to 3 day increments, evaluating how I'm feeling, seeing which foods, if any of them, are triggering the symptoms I've been experiencing. If you have experience following a low FODMAP diet, or if you've been thinking of trying one, definitely let me know in the comments section down below. I did a quick search on YouTube before filming this video to see if there were a lot of other ones on it, and I didn't see a lot. So if this is something that you're interested in learning more about, I'll definitely share more. I'm gonna be sharing my journey anyways, but let me know. Showing you what I got. I got some bell peppers, which are an absolute essential for me. I got some sweet potatoes because orange foods are life, and we're making sweet potato brownies today. Also got some green onion, which perhaps the most devastating initial blow to me learning about this diet is that white onions, garlic, off the table. Everything I do, there is garlic in it. So my first instinct when I saw this, I'm like, oh my God, all my meals are gonna lose all their flavor. But apparently the green tops, the green portion of the green onion is FODMAP approved. So I'm gonna see what I can do with these. Cucumber, which I totally forgot about, but I love how refreshing it is, and that little like crispness when you bite in, so good. I got these zucchinis because very ripe bananas are high FODMAP, and I love me some banana bread, but I have not made zucchini bread in a long time, and I would love to make a high protein, low FODMAP zucchini bread recipe, so I'm gonna experiment with these this week. Boring. I'm not excited about my spinach, okay? I'm usually very excited about the foods that I get, the foods that I eat. I'm not into the spinach, but I am getting it because I'm trying to cut back on the excessive amount of cauliflower and broccoli I've been eating. Cauliflower is considered high FODMAP, broccoli is not. I love broccoli, but I do not love eating broccoli in moderation. Of all the foods I eat, of all the meals that I have in a day, like the one that I can most clearly link to digestive upset, to bloating, is when I make these massive sheet pan bakes of like, don't judge me, I will sometimes have an entire freezer bag of broccoli, and it's really good, but I know it's too much. Melons, I don't know what this one's called. I think it's a cantaloupe or honeydew. This is a Santa Claus melon, which I thought was festive and fun, and I love chopping up like just a big bowl of melon and having that when we get back from our nighttime dog walks. We also got some low-fat shredded mozzarella, stevia baking blend. So if you ever hear me say it and you're like, huh, what, excuse me? It's not just regular stevia. It is a stevia blend that is designed to work in baking exactly like sugar. So you don't have to adjust the ratios. It swaps in 1-to-1. The way that they do this is by blending at least this brand with cane sugar, so they can achieve this marketing claim of 75% fewer calories. I have tried pretty much every other brand of baking sweetener that claims to do something like this. This is the only one I recommend. I also got coconut cream because another major bombshell. Whey protein, unless in isolate form, the purest form of whey protein, is considered high FODMAP. I use a whey protein blend to make my fluffy coffee protein shake, as I find that that is what gets the fluffiest, thickest, nicest consistency. And so my fluffy coffee protein shake is in crisis. My plan is to rebuild that recipe from the ground up using a pea protein powder, which I gotta admit, I don't have a lot of faith in, but I got this coconut cream because in my experience, whenever I blend pea protein powder, it never gets like that fluffy, thick consistency like a whey blend. It just kind of gets icy and frothy almost. So I'm hoping that by adding this, it will make it a little bit more creamy, a little bit more thick, a little bit more fluffy. I almost forgot, I also got this microgreen kit, which I will admit was 100% an impulse buy. I saw it in the produce section. It looked like something that could make my spinach more fun. So I got these. They are FODMAP approved. I'm going to start a garden in my kitchen. this is not one of your perfectly organized and labeled YouTube fridges. Okay, I'd like it to be eventually in the future, but it's not right now, and that is okay. Talking essentials though, I always have at least 2 dozen eggs in my fridge because I use them in baking. And something I actually haven't shown a lot in my what I eat in a days is I do eat a lot of hard-boiled, more like soft-boiled eggs because they're so much better, but I eat a lot of soft-boiled eggs. I always have a few blocks of tofu kicking around because I find, as compared to other plant-based protein sources, this is the easiest on my stomach as compared to tempeh, as compared to like fake ground chicken and ground beef and all that stuff. You know, it's a little bit more processed. This is easy on my stomach. It is so versatile. You can make it into puddings, you can put it into smoothies as a thickener. I might have to try that in the fluffy coffee protein shake. You can use it as an egg substitute to make scrambles and frittatas and bakes, or you can just dice it up into cubes and put it in something like a Nourish Bowl. The OG unflavored plain almond milk. I mainly use this in shakes, but you can use it in any variation of a shake or a smoothie bowl. I will use it if I want to thin out like a creamier or cheese-based sauce. I love almond milk. I sometimes even just have glasses of almond milk because it's that good. We also have this wall of condiments, which I'm a little embarrassed about because I think there are a lot of empty containers that I really should have thrown out, but I haven't because I'm a hoarder. So we're gonna ignore those. Moving down to the freezer, I feel comfortable sharing this because I feel like everybody's freezer is a bit of a nightmare, okay? And it's not even that bad. So I keep most of my proteins down here because after years of meal prepping and eating the same, like chicken and rice, chicken and rice, chicken and rice, chicken and rice, like every meal every day, I get so bored of my protein sources so quickly. And if I don't plan ahead, or if I don't have a variety of sources at home, I just won't eat enough protein, which isn't good. Even if you're not super active, like you need protein, okay? Protein is important for your health. So at any given time in my freezer, I will have some ground turkey or ground chicken, usually just whatever is more available. Lean ground beef, I don't like extra lean, it has no flavor, so we do lean. Frozen fish fillets that I will then do my blackened seasoning on that I shared a few videos back. It is so heckin' good, as well as Jeff and I have been a little bougie lately. We have been getting smoked salmon, and we have been getting different types of smoked salmon. Beyond that, I just like to keep a lot of frozen fruits and frozen veggies in my freezer at any given time. Blueberries I use a lot in baking. I've been working on a lot of blueberry-based recipes. I will always have some sort of chopped and frozen squash in case I can't get squash at the store. I love squash so much, and I'll just put that in like a sheet pan bake. Spinach, because I actually think Jeff bought that because we know how I feel about spinach. And then this side of the freezer is reserved for any baked goods or recipes that I have tested that I can't finish up before they're gonna turn. So like the golden milk oat cups that I made a few videos back as a test recipe, I've been keeping in the freezer and just thawing out as I want to have them. This morning I had 2, they're so good. I cheated, sorry. I had 2 with the coconut cream on it and it was so tasty, but I want to refine the recipe a little bit more to make it a bit more aesthetic for you before I actually share it. Beyond that, we have my mason jar collection, which you see behind me in pretty much every video. What you don't see is that like these are my show ones. I keep my messy ones, just have like boring flowers and stuff below in the cabinets down here. The trickiest thing to cut out with this low FODMAP diet is going to be flour. Like I bake so much. I bake at least a few times a week with testing recipes and just making my favorite recipes. And if you've watched any of my baking videos, you will know how I feel about flour substitutes. I am very, very picky when it comes to substitutes because you can't mess with the chemistry of baking. So that will be an interesting adventure. My first experiment is going to be today when I make these sweet potato brownies. So we'll see how that goes. verdict is in. As you can see, I had a rather generous sample size, but I feel like I needed to in order to accurately assess the flavor and texture. So this was a sweet potato better than box brownie recipe from the Everyday Eats recipe guide. I'll link that down below for you, but I am not kidding when I say that that recipe, like when you make it in its original form, no substitutions, it truly is better than Betty Crocker boxed brownies, and it has sweet potatoes in it, okay? Like it's packed full of nutrients, packed full of vitamins, it's packed full of protein. So the only swap I made for this recipe, I sound like such a loon right now. The only swap I made for this recipe was I substituted the regular all-purpose flour for chickpea flour, as that was the only non-wheat flour I had in my house. What you may have noticed is when I was mixing the batter, it did get very, very sticky, and it didn't really want to spread in the pan. The reason for this, I'm thinking, is because chickpea flour, same with oat flour, they absorb a lot of moisture, and so give that kind of like gummy, sticky texture when you're mixing it, but you don't typically taste it in the finished product, especially if it's something like a brownie or a bar. So you can kind of see that in the bumpy, lumpy texture on the top, but otherwise I'd say that these turned out, which is good news because I make this recipe at least once a week. It's just not good. I feel like I just threw so much information at you. I've just been talking in this video. So what I'm gonna do is I am working on some blog articles for the teamplans.com this week. That way you can get all of the info on the Fodmap diet in one place. I'll share the scientific literature I looked into. There's actually a really good review I found that looks into criticisms of the diet, so you can kind of see both sides and make a decision for yourself on if it's something that you think might be a good fit for you, or you can at least bring it to a professional to then have that conversation with. I'm also going to be getting together a Fodmap approved grocery list, so all of the stuff that you saw me buy just before this, like a template that you can use for yourself if you are curious about maybe trying the diet out. And I'm going to put together a list of all of the recipes in the Everyday Eats guide that are Fodmap approved or are easy to adapt to the diet, because I know a lot of you are following that right now for your meal inspo. All right, holy heck, we have so much going on. It's been a busy week, but it's all good stuff. So why are you biting me? He's biting my arm. Yeah, you can growl all you want. I'll keep doing this. Okay, good. Good work. What is up? So we just got back from our nighttime walk, which is a routine I have been absolutely loving. We have kind of had this routine, I guess, for a few years now. It is something that I have found incredibly helpful in overcoming late night snacking, which is something I'm going to talk about from a digestive standpoint in a future video. I'm just going to cram into this video, but I love it because as somebody who is predisposed to perusing the pantry at night, like, I don't know what happens, okay? I just want to snack at night. It is so helpful creating that separation between me and the kitchen after my last meal of the day. It gives my fullness cues time to actually kick in. It gives those hormones time to start working and tell my brain, like, hey, you just ate a meal, you're good. You don't have to go into the pantry right now. So it's a really great routine. Sometimes we walk for 30 minutes, sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's an hour and a half. If it's not too hot and we're just feeling wild, it's like 2 hours. It helps me feel more satisfied for my meals. It keeps me from snacking. It gives my digestion a little kickstart, and we're getting in extra movement. It just kind of helps me unwind from the day, which of course I'm like back to doing work right now. I need to stop, but I love that routine. So before we close out the vlog, there was one more thing I just wanted to kind of touch on.
Can you see him on the camera?
Yes. Diet can be such a tricky topic because I feel like there are so many standards about how you think you should eat. There's so many preconceived notions based on things you've been conditioned to believe. There can be so many emotions and experiences and stressors and beliefs and habits and routines and all of these things that complicate something that is so basic to human life. And so when you hear the word diet or when you start hearing about a different way of eating or consider making changes to your diet, it can just like trigger that thing in your brain if you're like, ooh. But this really just goes back to goal setting and why you're doing what you're doing. I am experimenting with my body. I am enjoying my body. I am exploring my body. And as much as I want to resolve this bloating, I'm not really in a huge rush to do it, right? I'm not going to decrease my quality of life in an effort to improve my quality of life. That doesn't make sense. That isn't sustainable. Having goals can often come from a place of hurt or desperation, but it's all about the reposition. I value myself enough to work on myself. I value my life enough to work towards a life I want to live. That is all I have to say for today. It's late, I gotta edit, but I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely shoot me a thumbs up, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.